Today's show is all about one of my true loves, donuts. Not how to make them or eat them, but it's about a young bloke, who started a donut shop. Gotta love donuts, right? It's the award-winning Small Business Big Marketing Show, thanks to American Express.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show, where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back to your weekly dose of Marketing Masala. I'm your host. There'll be a reason I said that, by the way. I'm your host, Timbo Reid, but you, infinitely more importantly, you're a motivated business owner and you're ready to crank out some great marketing to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it deserves to be. Big show today. We meet Phillip Kuoch, the owner of Goldilocks Bakery and a donut maker extraordinaire. And I tell you why I'm doing this show from Mumbai in India. As per usual, team, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in. Now, before we get stuck into the interview, I am doing this show from my hotel room at the Taj Mahal Hotel in Mumbai, India. Let me tell you a quick story. I reckon it was 10 days ago, I was contacted by an overseas speakers bureau to speak at a conference in India. Now, I've had this happen to me before, where I've been contacted by a bureau out of Malaysia, this time out of India, and there is a scam going on to get speakers to divulge all their personal information, and then these people, not the bureaus, but some scammers, go off and create a stolen identity, effectively. And I thought I was being a part of that. I put my fee in, I put my proposal in at that point thinking it was all legit, but then things started to get a little bit weird. There was no website up for the conference. Things weren't being responded to in a timely manner. It just felt a little bit smelly. I questioned it with some speaker mates over back in Australia. They agreed with me. And so I started to get a bit cold on the fact that I was excited by the fact that, hey, I'm going to Mumbai, never been to India before. And then I got cold on it as I sort of started to think this is a scam and I've been sucked in big time. Long story short, it wasn't a scam. I got the job on a panel at a conference called the Indian Economic Conclave 2018. And other speakers include Ariana Huffington from the Huffington Post, Jimmy Wales, who started Wikipedia, the Chief Minister of Finance for India, some Bollywood rock star actor, and the list goes on, and then little old Timbo Reid. So quite funny, really, how the world turns. I actually thought all my speaking had come to an end for the year, but here I am doing it from Mumbai in India. Did my session yesterday. It went really well. A room of 600 Indian entrepreneurs and decision makers, and it was pretty cool, really, and an incredible city. So, yeah, doing it right now. My hotel room's overlooking what is quite a beautiful city. The sun's rising. I'll take a few photos and maybe put them in the show notes for this episode. We'll see how we go. I'm a little bit jet lagged, so hence me rattling on a little bit. But anyway, thought I'd just fill you in on that story. I think now we should get on with the much more important topic of donuts. So my guest today is a fellow by the name of Phillip Kuoch. And Phillip is a young entrepreneur who has started a business called Goldilocks Bakery in Melbourne. He started it because his dad got rather sick. His dad bought the business and almost immediately upon buying the business got really crook and had to hand the reins over to start it, to Phillip. Now, Phillip was studying full-time university student. He'd never baked anything in his life. His mum and dad are Cambodian refugees. I'm guessing his mum's a really good cook, so Phillip would never had to have stood a foot in the kitchen except to eat her food. Yet he took on the challenge of starting this bakery. And one thing has led to another, and he's now started a little donut franchise called Goldilocks Donuts. And things are going pretty damn well for young Phillip Kuoch. He's also a listener of this show, and subsequently he'd sent me a fantastic pitch to get on the show a few months ago, which I certainly couldn't ignore. We cover a lot of ground, how he managed to, through tears and pain and all sorts of emotions, get Goldilocks Bakery into the success that it is today. We talk about how he's marketed it, why he's franchised it. He's done 24 karat gold dosons. He's got some incredible free media coverage, international media coverage, thanks to his innovative techniques, and so much more. He is a pretty clever fellow. So without further ado, let's go and meet Goldilocks Bakery's Phillip Kuoch.
3 years ago, you bought a bakery business. I want to know why, when you had absolutely no experience in that industry and were studying at uni full time.
I get that question asked a lot. But the story goes, when I was 21, my parents wanted to open their first business. And so we found this great bakery in Melbourne, and it was like perfect. The location was good. Like the customers and all that were, seemed really friendly. So yeah, they were really keen on buying this bakery. But then my dad's arthritis and back got really bad. Sorry. And so we were just days away from like signing, the purchase agreement and handing over the business and stuff. And so yeah, this happened. We just couldn't go ahead with my dad's condition because he was going to be doing mostly, all the baking stuff. And so we were screwed. So we're like, oh no, we don't have anyone to bake. And so things got really bad. So my mum couldn't do it either because she had to be my dad's carer. So
it came down to young Phillip.
Yes. So I just offered to step in with no baking experience, no business experience either. So jumped in, and the first year was hell. I didn't get much sleep.
We will get into the first year. Tell me about that moment where mum or dad's looked you in the eye and said, Phillip, you're going to need to run this business. Or did you put your hand up?
I put my hand up, but I was very young. I was very naive. I was like, yeah, I can do this. Like, let's.
Did you do it to please your mum and dad, or did you do it because you wanted to run a business?
I wanted to run a business. I was like, oh, cool, I get to be my own boss now. So I was like, yeah, how hard can it be? And it was very hard indeed.
So this business is called Goldilocks, which I want to understand the name. There is some Chinese good fortune going on there, is there, or some kind of? Tell me about Goldilocks, the name.
Yeah. So, we didn't name the business actually.
You bought it like that.
Yeah. So I actually really wanted to change the name, but I was a bit scared because I didn't want to change. And the business name when the business was doing really great.
Yes.
But then when I got in, I realized actually no one actually knew what the business was called. So we stuck with it since then, anyways. But it's kind of grown on me now.
So was it a really tough year, Phillip?
It was a very tough year. So, like I said, I didn't have any baking experience. So I used to start at 1 a.m. just to learn how to bake myself. I had a great baker who we hired, who taught me a lot. But I used to start at 1 a.m., go to sleep, bake for a few hours. Once everything was baked, I'll take a nap, then wake up just before the lunch hour, help out with lunch, and then pack up and close the shop at 5, and then have dinner and go to sleep. And that was my days for the first year.
What about your study?
My study, I actually took a year off then because I just couldn't do it. There was too much going on. And Timbo, used to stay up and cry after work because I was so stressed out.
Really?
And mentally. Yeah, really. I'm serious. I didn't know how I was going to go through it.
Did you cry with someone else, or were you crying behind closed doors?
By myself when I was sleeping at the bakery, upstairs at the bakery. Yeah. So I used to pack up, close the door and just go upstairs, have dinner and just crying myself to sleep pretty much.
And I'm guessing you didn't want your mum or dad to see that because your dad's sick and your mum's his carer and they had their own thing going on.
Yeah, that's right. So I didn't want to, add any more stress into them and just show any sign of weakness. And
Right.
so I held myself in there.
Is your dad not showing a sign of weakness? Is your dad quite what's the word, strict, or looks to his son as someone who's tough and just get going, get on with it?
Yeah, no, it's actually not that. It's just that my parents, my parents were refugees from Cambodia, and they've always worked hard their whole life, and so I wanted to do something, for them as well, and I didn't want them to, think that they couldn't do this either because it was their first time running a business too. But yeah, so I wanted to be strong for them and make sure that I help them, achieve what they want to achieve.
I guess you draw some strength from that. As much as it must have been a stress, you would draw some strength from that as well. I understand you had previous owners trying to sabotage the business in year one?
Yes. So I kind of went into this very naive because they were Cambodian as well. So we kind of built the relationship on oh yeah, you're Cambodian too, so you're gonna have our back, and look after us. So with every business handover, you usually have 2 weeks or so for the previous owners to show you the ropes and answer any questions that you might have. So the previous owners helped us for about a week, and he just didn't come in after that. So we kind of had no idea what was going on. And on top of that, he didn't hand us any of the recipes that we needed to run the business. And then he also tried to get all the staff to quit the business as well, which meant that we would have no one to ask questions. But that actually turned out well for us because that pushed us to work harder. We developed our own recipes. We asked, customers' feedback about, how we were going and stuff like that. And we actually entered a competition same year, and we actually came third in the national baking awards in Australia, which is really cool. Yeah.
Before we talk about when things started to swing upwards, when you're talking about that previous owner sort of not helping, there's a great saying by an old AFL football coach, which is basically if it is to be, it's up to me. And, whilst we could look to previous owners or, less competition around us or whatever it may be to help us along, it's really, and I think you'll agree, you tell me, but working on being your best self is what's going to get you through.
That's right. Yeah, I discovered because this business was already doing so great, it was doing so well. I was so hung up on the fact, we were never going to be as great as them. But then as soon as I realized, I'm just going to be yourself. I'm going to make and bake the things that I want to bake. And I'm just going to listen to my customers and see what they think. That was when, our business really started to bloom and grow. And that's when we started making donuts.
Hold your thought there. I'm looking forward to talking about donuts. There's a great learning there, Phillip. A great learning for anyone listening who is trying to sort of look to others for support. Well, it's okay to look for others for support, but the truth and the real answers of how your business is going to go is deep within you, right? The business owner.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, you're the only one that's going to run the business. No one else is going to be there to push you,
Were you completely alone in year one before you turned things around? Did you have a mentor? Did you have a buddy? Did you have someone?
I actually didn't have anyone that I could ask for help because I've never known anyone who's run a business in my group of circle. So I usually would confide in my friends and my family and just get as much moral support as I can. When I had a business question that I didn't know, I'll just use Google, try and ask people in forums, listen to you, of course.
Nice.
And to be honest, listening to you and all the other guests on the show has really given me lots of great tips and advice. It's priceless advice.
Oh, mate, that's really kind. I send me an invoice. I'll. That's lovely. Can you remember anything in particular? Was there an idea from a past guest that might have kind of really kept you going, that sent you put you in a place where you thought you could do this?
So Michelle Bridges, I've always looked up to her ever since The Biggest Loser. You've had her on previously, and just F and do it.
Yes.
That's always been my
Hashtag JFDI,
That's right.
I think
That's
she said.
right. And I've always, whenever I've ever doubted myself and like spent too much, time just pondering whether or not I should do it, I'll just be like, you know what, just do it and see how things turn out. And so, yeah, and I've also, you had the Chicken Man on the show the other time.
Wasn't he fantastic?
Yeah, he's awesome. So I've taken what I've learned from that episode as well, just putting yourself out there, have some fun, and see where it goes. And
well, that's a classic example. His name escapes me right this minute, but a great story. I mean, he's sitting around his family, the Christmas table on Christmas Day with his mum and dad, who tell him we're going to have to shut the business because there's more going out than there's coming in. And I think the next couple of weeks he decided to start doing Facebook Live videos and having some fun around the shop. And, in the next thing he knows, he's got a line out the door, people coming from everywhere just to meet him because he'd become this kind of local celebrity and people loved him. So, it's amazing what we can do when we're under the pump.
That's right, yeah.
Thanks to American Express, we're chatting with Phillip Kuoch, who's the founder of the Goldilocks bakery business. Phillip, tell us about the moment then when you realised that all of this hard work was actually going to pay off.
It was about a year in. So we won that first award, and that kind of, made me realise, hey, we're actually doing a pretty good job. Mm-hmm. What happened around that time was the Nutella donut, craze started kicking in, and Nutella donuts were everywhere. Everyone was lining up for Nutella donuts. And that's when I was like, hey, why don't we try making donuts, try and do something a bit more fun. So we started making Nutella donuts. We did really well. A lot of customers came in and bought that. We'll still add about, 20 donuts a day, which was heaps for us back then. And then so we started like experimenting with different flavors. So the next flavor we tried to make was a salted caramel.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, so it sounds really good, doesn't it? But yeah. I remember I gave some samples to some friends and I put way too much salt into the caramel. It was so salty. And then after that, I was just like, nah, maybe I'm not made for donuts. So I left it for a bit. But so a few months later, my bakers came up with these croissant donuts. So they're known as cronuts everywhere else, but they had their own take on it. So they made it one morning, so we tried it, and we're like, wow, this is amazing. So we posted it on Facebook. We made 6 on our first day. And then as soon as we knew it, people were coming all over Melbourne just to try these out because they've never had it before. And so, we started with 6, and then the numbers would jump to 10, 20, 50 to 100 to 200 a day.
Wow.
And then at our first pop-up store, we sold out in like 2 hours. And we sold more than 1,500 croissant donuts in 2 hours.
How many?
1,500. That was a limit of 1 per person as well.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
You did a little experiment. You had it one morning from one of your bakers said, try this. You liked it. You'd put it on Instagram. Was that literally the Kickstarter that then, just created some virality?
Pretty much. It was July 23rd. I remember the date still. But yeah, we posted it and we started with 6 on the first day.
Yes, and then ended up with 1,500. Where was the pop-up store?
It was in St Kilda in Melbourne. So it was part of a festival, but people had heard about our donuts before. So a massive line started to form, in front of our store. We had about at least 100, 200 people lining up throughout the day. We just couldn't keep up. Like we'd bring more stock from the bakery and we'll sell it in like 10, 20 minutes.
What were you selling how much per dosant?
Well, this might sound really bad, but we started at $6 each first. And then we're like, hey, people are actually buying this. So the next day we did $6.50 and we just couldn't keep up with the demand still. So we're like, why don't we just increase to $7, see what happens? And people were still lining up. They wanted to buy 5 of them, 5 or 10 of them. So yeah, that's how we started.
What a great story. I have a question around donuts. I love donuts, Phillip. Mm-hmm. I think watching some of the donut shops around, I think there's Walker's Donuts, and I think what's the one that closed recently?
Donut Time.
Donut Time. Now, they're reopening, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
I've got a view. I think a classic hot cinnamon donut is one of life's great pleasures.
Oh,
it is.
I agree.
The smell, the taste, the comfort, the calories, everything about it is just awesome, right?
I agree.
Yet all You agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Yet all these donut shops that pop up, like Donut Time, seem to over-engineer the donut. Why isn't there a shop that sells hot cinnamon donuts, nothing else?
That's a great question. we do it. We do it in the mornings at our bakery, 5:30 a.m. We get lots of people coming in at 5:30 for hot cinnamon donuts.
I know you've branched out, which we'll come to talking about the donut franchise you've started. And I think in doing it, I mean, I'm being half facetious, but also half serious, because also when a store sells one thing well, I don't know, it brings a certain cachet to it, you know, where you go, oh, they only sell hot cinnamon donuts. They must be the best going around.
Mm. Well, I think, you know, if you're good at one thing, you should stick at what you're good at, not branch out too much and do too many things.
Yes. Well, they do say one is a very dangerous number in business, but
That's
I don't know
true.
about that.
It's
I love
true.
a good niche.
Yeah, it's good.
So the business, Phillip, is going pretty well. The Dosson, you get the award. The Dosson is smashing it out of the park. You sell 1,500 at a local, what was it, a festival down at St Kilda. Am I right then in saying you went a little bit further and had a 24-carat gold Dosson?
Yes. That happened.
Why?
Just because, you know, we love being over the top and extravagant. No, actually, I was actually looking for ways to generate some free PR because I was working on a very limited, non-existent marketing budget. So I was just having a look around and seeing, you know, what was being done. And then so one day I came across this macaron at a shopping centre, and it was made with, you know, gold flakes. And
what was it? Oh, your macaroon, yeah.
Macaroon, yeah. So it was made with some gold flakes, real. And then she said, the girl who was selling it, she said, yeah, these are made with real gold and stuff like that. So I just kind of asked her, and then it kind of clicked in my head. I was like, why don't I just make a gold donut, a gold croissant donut? So I looked it up, trying to see if anyone else had done it. And funny enough, no one has ever done it before. So I was like, oh, this is easy. All I have to do is just to find someone who manufactured those, you know, the gold. So I found someone who wasn't too far away from us. So I went to go get some gold stuff from them. And then I made it, took some photos of it. And then literally the next day, I sent out some messages and emails to some food blogs and some, like, you know, the newspaper and Herald Sun, stuff like that, radio stations. And within an hour, I had 6 interview requests on that same day. I had a photographer come out and take a photo straight away. And then I was on Nova FM. After that, you know, websites from overseas started picking up on the story as well. And then we generate this huge global interest, which was amazing.
Could you quantify what kind of media coverage? It sounds like you probably got $100,000 worth of media coverage.
Yeah, it probably was. So we did that a week before Mother's Day. So we were selling these at $15 each. For Mother's Day, we had more than 200 pre-orders for our gold donut.
Brilliant.
Which was crazy. And my mum, when I first told my mum about the idea of the gold donut, she said I was crazy and stupid. No one would ever pay that much for a donut. But then when she saw how many people, you know, ordered it, she just smiled and didn't say a word.
Yes. Tell me about the there's a learning here about getting free publicity. So you've created this 24-carat gold Dosson. You don't say that very often. And you sell a few. You might sell a few hundred, but it's the media coverage that's the magic here. What was it? A simple letter? Was it a naive letter? Did you have a PR agent help you craft the letter that you sent out to the radio stations and newspapers?
I actually just did it by myself. All I did was go on their Facebook page, click the message button on their page, and then just say, hey guys, we've just created this, you know, 24-karat gold croissants. If you'd like for us to send you a sample, just let us know. But yeah, everyone was interested in it because it was, you know, the first gold croissant donut in the world. So it wasn't
brilliant.
It was easy for us to get, you know, free press that way.
This show is made possible thanks to American Express Business Explorer Credit Card, a card that lets your business expenses reward you. I asked Amex member Chris Gray, CEO of property buying business Your Empire, how he benefits from using his Amex.
I use Amex for the whole of my business. Literally every single thing I pay in my business, even down to effectively my staff or my contractors and my rent at home, everything goes on the Amex card. Because with Amex, you get the most points for your dollar spent. And I convert those points into frequent flyer rewards points. I fly 10 or 15 times a year, only business and first class, including those beautiful A380 suites you get on Singapore Airlines where you get your own bedroom, and I fly for free. I don't pay for a single flight.
But it's not all upside, or is it?
So I've still got 1 million points because I spend so much money in my business. I've then got to pre-plan 10 trips for next year of where do I want to go. I need to find excuses to go to different countries.
This is a massive first world problem, Chris.
It is, but I'm willing to put up with it. So there's very few people that can force themselves through the pain barrier, but I'm willing to do it. I've trained myself.
New American Express card members who apply and spend $3,000 in the first 3 months from the card approval date receive a bonus 100,000 membership rewards points. You gotta love it when your business expenses reward you. Search Amex Business to find out how. New American Express card members only. Offer ends November 30, 2017. Terms and conditions apply.
Innovation's part of the way you approach business, isn't it?
That's right.
Do you find time for it? Is it something that comes to you in the shower? What's that process look like?
When I'm driving, I get lots of ideas because I'm always constantly thinking about work and business. Even just going out to see what other people are doing, reading online, listen to podcasts like yours. Just always having my ears and eyes open, and seeing where it leads it to.
Good on you. Good on. There should be more of that. Anything else you've innovated around in business?
In terms of product-wise, or?
Oh, I don't mind. Product, process.
Yep. So after the 24-karat gold croissant, we created Australia's largest croissant donut, and that weighed 2 kilos. And we had an eating challenge for anyone who could finish it in one sitting in like 10 minutes. And that generated some free press for us as well. We were in the Herald Sun. We got it sent out to radio stations. And a lot of food bloggers wanted to do the challenge, so we supplied that to them.
So that's a great idea. Is it fair to say that sometimes you come up with product ideas where you know you're not going to sell a whole lot and get rich from that, but it's all about media coverage?
That's right. With the gold croissant, I didn't expect to sell anything. I just wanted free media coverage. I create the products, sometimes not with selling it in mind, just to generate free publicity.
So, Phillip, you've just launched the Goldilocks donut brand as a standalone. Is that right?
Recently, yeah. So we started as a bakery at first, and then after our donuts started taking off online, we got approached by countless of shopping centres and
really,
yeah, people who want us to open at their shopping centres. We were offered money to set up, and they're willing to pay for our kiosk, our machinery. We were offered up to 100 grand to set up a shop. In
a major shopping centre?
Yep, in major shopping centres. Yeah, I said no to most of them because most of them weren't on brand with us. For example, we had a mall that wanted to put us in, next to the butchers, and I didn't think that was right for our brand, so I said no.
Good on you.
Yeah.
Is that hard to say no?
It is very hard to say no, especially when there's money on the table, free money on the table. I mean, but for me, I want to make sure that this is a long-term thing, that there's more room for us to grow, and we're not just taking up on every opportunity. I mean, it's good to say yes to opportunities, but to the right ones.
So, just to be clear, what you've got now, you've got the Goldilocks Bakery, which is still going, but you have a Goldilocks donut shop.
Yeah.
At Eastland, which is a major shopping centre in Victoria.
That's right, yeah. So they're actually the closest shopping centre to us, and they approached us several times. One day they had this great location for us, and so it was in the premium side of the mall as well. And so, yeah, they offered us to come in. They were willing to pay for everything for us and give us, subsidized rent.
Wow.
Which was good. But yeah, so we came in as just on a casual basis at first, just to test the water and see how we go. We weren't willing to sign anything long term yet because we were a bit scared. We didn't want to take big risks yet.
Mm-hmm.
But on our opening night, we had more than 200 people line up for our store, and then we were just like, maybe this is going to work and we should stay here permanently. So just right before when our casual lease expired, we got approached by someone who wanted to buy into the business, and so we've set up as a franchise now.
Just before you explain that, I'm interested to know because a donut store. I mean, if I looked at Donut Time, they were quite a funky looking little store, very small retail footprint, beautifully designed. What's the Goldilocks donut store look like?
We want it to be a meeting place for people to come and meet their friends. So we've created it to be more like a cafe style instead of kind of like what Donut Times approached it as. They've kind of just had just a stall. It was more of a takeaway thing, but we actually want people to come in, sit down, have coffee and donuts with their friends.
Lots of fancy donuts.
Yeah, we've got fancy. We've got the classic jam donut. We've got classic cinnamon donut.
Here we go.
Yeah. So we want to make sure we're helping people create memories and giving them an experience when they visit our store. So yeah, we're working on a few other projects. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say anything about it yet. But no
one's listening, Phillip. Just give us a little insight into what we can expect.
So we're in talks with people at the moment of creating. We're teaming up with a few other businesses to create a hangout spot for the younger generation. So we're looking at installing a bar, installing a PS4 area, some pool tables, and we're looking at making it like a 24-hour offering. But we're still location scouting at the moment, but that's something that we want to work towards. But yeah, we want to create more cooler hangout spots for people to hang out.
Gee whiz, that's a big kind of diversion from just having a funky little donut shop.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, you always got to experiment and see what sticks.
Yes, totally agree with that.
Yeah.
What kind of research will you do to validate that idea?
So we've kind of looked at other businesses and see what's been done previously. So recently there was an arcade that was open up for adults only, and it was an arcade and a bar, and that had a big reception, and lots of people were lining up, and even to this day there's still people lining up for it. So and in terms of research, I just because I am my own target audience, my target customer. And I don't even know where to hang out. Like this, it's hard for me to find places to hang out. So I kind of just ask, just ask myself the questions, what do I want to do? Because, if I'm thinking this, then surely there's other people my age, people who are like me who wants me to do.
And do you see that living under the Goldilocks brand?
Sorry, what was that, Tim?
Do you see that living under the Goldilocks brand?
Yeah, I mean. Where our target audiences are people, who are within my age. So it's easier for me to understand what my customers want because I am that customer.
I love it, mate. Well, I wish you luck with that. What kind of? It's just such a big idea. I won't actually push any more on that because clearly it's in development, and I'd hate someone else to run off with it.
Yeah, that's right.
Now you've sold your first franchise. How'd that come about?
It was actually word of mouth. So. She's heard of, so Vanessa, who bought into our franchise, she's heard of the business before. And so she's been to visit us a few times, and she's always, suggested, casually that, she'd want to buy in. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure, one day. And then just before it was about to expire, she came to visit again. I was like, hey, just so you know, we're not going to be here next month because we're finishing up. And she's like, what do you mean? And she's like, I'll buy into it. Like I told you to, I'll buy into it. And then that's when we got that discussion started. So it kind of came off very casually, to be honest.
Why a franchise? Why not just sell her a license or have her manage another store of yours?
Because I actually, my long-term goal is to open as many stores as I can. And I think franchising is the easiest way for us because, due to limited resources, I think this is the best way because I find it very hard to manage staff and do all the admin work and stuff. I've never been great with managing staff.
You are not alone there, Philip. I can
Yeah.
assure you. I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds of small business owners, and staff proves to be one of their great stumbling blocks. There are ways around it, creating a great culture, creating a great workplace for people to, people want to come to work. Have a listen to an interview I did with Carolyn Creswell, who owns Carmen's Muesli, is a great example of someone who's actually created a place where someone wants to come to. But don't stress on that. You're not alone. Franchising is not easy. Right,
It's
I mean,
not.
franchising is. Are you literally documenting every system and process and going down that whole franchise rabbit hole?
Yeah, there's lots of paperwork. So the lawyer that we're working with, he sent me a 100-page template, with all the franchise questions and all the franchise terms and the conditions. So it took me 2 weeks to fill everything out. But pretty much because we are just starting out. So the way we've set it up is we've set up the contract and agreement as a living document. So we're updating it as we go. But yeah, we're trying to, because it's new for us, it's new for Vanessa as well. So we're kind of trying to meet halfway and see, what works for both of us. But yeah, we're taking things day by day and seeing how it goes.
Is Vanessa on brand?
She is very on brand. She makes the best coffees. So if you're ever down in Melbourne, come and
That
visit
doesn't
us.
make you on brand. It's interesting because you mentioned earlier, there was a shopping centre that came to you with an offer that was next to a butcher's and it wasn't on brand. And I don't hear too many business owners talk like that. What do you mean by brand?
So, like for me, my vision is, I don't want us to be. I think about, Donut King, for example. They're a very commercial brand, so it's okay for them to be in the same, to be neighbors with the butcher or the vegetable market people. But for us, our customers are looking for an experience. So, I want to build a brand where people can engage with us and experience our brand as a premium brand. So, for us to be next to the butchers, for example, I feel like it'll be taking a step back for our brand. So yeah, that's why I've turned down offers to be, by that mall. And so with this Eastland store, we're in the premium side of the mall. And so, people who walk down that area have more disposable money to spend and more willing to, be more willing to spend money on our donuts.
Good on you, mate. Now tell me, 3 years into business, first year being incredibly tough. Second, like the last 2 years, sound like they've been pretty damn good. You enjoying yourself?
Having lots of fun at the moment. Today, I actually went back to my old high school to speak to some year 9s and year 10s about running a business and what I've done after year 12.
Great.
But yeah, having lots of fun just talking about my journey and telling people my stories and experiences.
What's been the most memorable part of your journey so far? Because you're still studying, right? You're doing your master's.
I'm doing my master's in data science at the moment.
Of course you are. Data science.
Yes.
That's a great connection to bakery. Why are you doing a master's in data science?
So I finished my bachelor's end of last year.
Should be donut science.
It should be donut science. But yeah, I finished my bachelor's end of last year. And so I've had the first half of this year not doing anything other than work. So I'd come home after work. I'd be like, okay, what do I do now? Nothing else to do. Like, do I just watch TV or? So I was like, oh, I actually kind of want to go back to studying because, I've always loved statistics and always been, excited by data. So I was like, why don't I just go back and study part-time, just do this online, take my time, no rush. And I think it's partly because I've always been used to being busy, I guess.
Phil, you and I are complete opposites. But there is something that brings us together. You love data. I hate data.
Oh,
we both love donuts.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a beautiful thing, life, isn't it?
Yes, bonding over donuts.
Yeah, that's right. We wouldn't be the first. We won't be the last. What has been the most memorable part of your short entrepreneurial journey so far?
My favorite memory looking at the bakery has always been the early mornings, especially when we've had lots of orders. So my mum and my dad would come in and help us, and my sister is there as well. My little 12-year-old brother is there as well. The whole family is gathered together, and yeah, just we're all working and having a chat and having a great time. I think for me, that's bonding with my family through businesses has been, the best part of it. It's also been the worst part of it because we've, fought a lot. But overall, doing this with them, asking help from them has really made me closer to them. So for me, that's the thing I cherish most.
How's Dad?
My dad's doing a lot better now. He is taking a lot of different herbs from that he's seen on Facebook. Yeah, he's buying all these massaging things that he's seen on Facebook. But yeah, he's doing a lot better now. He's looking at getting an operation later next year.
I bet he's taking a lot of turmeric.
He is. He's drinking a lot of turmerics, yeah.
Good on him. Well, you need to create a turmeric donut in honour of your dad. I mean, he's the guy who bought the business in the first place.
I think so.
Come on.
Well,
I don't think it'd taste too bad either.
It'll be made just for you.
Hey, in our pre-interview, Phillip, you talked about suffering from imposter syndrome. You still got it?
It comes and goes. But when it does hit me, it makes, as you would understand, it'll make you question whether or not you can do this or not. Even you've done a lot. Over the last few years, one of my biggest challenges has always been imposter syndrome, because I felt like I've never earned that success. And people, would come up to me and say, "Hey, you've done so much," but I'd be like, "Oh, really? I don't feel like I've really done much." I've had some tough days where I've kind of just, not tough days, but tough periods where I've just been like, kind of done business, excuse the language, but half-assed,
Yes.
Not really put an effort in it because I didn't think I, deserve any of the things I've done. But yeah, I think I'm getting better. I'm trying to remind myself, it's going to be a journey, and that, things will get better, and that, I've done a lot already in the past three years. So, yeah. Good
on you for bringing that up. I mean, you're the one who told me about it, so I assume it's okay to identify that in our interview, and know that, there are business owners out there who are full of confidence and bravado, and I personally look at them and go, wow, where do you get that from? And then there are those like you and I who sometimes question, how the hell did we get where we are? You know? And in those days, a simple thing to do is Google imposter syndrome, or Google who's got imposter syndrome, or Google what Hollywood A-lister actors have got imposter syndrome, and you will be reassured that you're not alone and in very good company. So it's a good thing, and I think being aware of where you're at as a business owner emotionally is really important, because it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, like, I actually never knew what it was, like the feeling that I had. I actually never knew what it was until you mentioned it on the show, actually. And that's when it made me realize, I'm like, hey, this is actually what I'm experiencing as well. And for me to know that other business owners are going through it has made me realize, okay, it's a natural thing to feel. And so, yeah, it's something that I can deal with now because I know what it is.
Phil, 5 quick questions to wrap things up. How do you maintain a work-life balance, or don't you?
Exercise.
What do you do?
I go to the gym at least 3 times a week. That's my promise to myself. I schedule it into my calendar so I don't miss it.
What's the one thing you wished you'd known at the start of becoming a small business owner?
Don't be so naive. Question everything.
Okay. Well, I'm not here to judge, but a bit of naivety is beautiful.
Yeah, but also say yes to new opportunities. To contradict myself, but yeah, say yes to new opportunities. Because for me, it's always been one opportunity has led to another. In terms of naive, I mean, like, going back to the example of, the previous owners, that tried to sabotage me, just question, their intentions. And
What's a business you wished you owned, and why?
I wish I owned a clothing, like an online clothing store. Seems a lot of fun.
Jeez, and that's coming from a bloke who owns a donut store. Hang on. What's your job title? I saw it in your email signature.
Donut chief. So
donut chief.
Yeah.
Hey? I love that. I might be a donut chief one day. As a business owner, who do you seek inspiration from?
I seek inspiration from my mum, actually. My mum has always been very entrepreneur. She was selling fish in the markets when she was 12, 13 years old. So she has a very strong business mind. So I look up to her a lot in terms of business. I just put myself in a position to ask her what she'll do. But yeah, she's a great businesswoman. She's very smart.
Beautiful. Phillip, I think it's a wonderful story, mate. It's a very young story. I think it's a wonderful category in which you operate, donuts. And I wish you all the success in the world. If people want to find out more, they can check out Goldie Lucks, Golde Lux, lucks.com.au. They could visit the Eastland store. Where's the second franchise opening, Phillip?
So we've got a bakery in Croydon South if you want to come and visit. So
Yes.
the third store, I can't name it yet because it's not being confirmed yet.
Anyway, I look forward to you opening one up in beautiful Noosa on the Sunshine Coast, and I can put a bit more weight back on. Good on you, Phillip.
Thanks, Timbo.
Well, there you go, Phillip Kuoch of Goldie Lucks Bakery. What a fantastic, fantastic story. Just a wonderful attitude, I guess, towards life and business and rolling up the sleeves and getting things done. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I do. I hope if you're in Melbourne, you do go and buy a donut or two from Goldie Lucks Bakeries. They sound pretty special, don't they? Let's take a look at my top 3 attention grabbers from that chat with Phillip, thanks to the very, very good folk at American Express. Attention grabber number 1, I don't think you're going to be surprised by this, it's Phillip's innovative approach to running a business. Everything he does, he's sort of thinking about how can I do it a little bit differently to differentiate myself from every other bakery in town. I love the fact that he's thinking big about where he can take the Goldie Lucks brand. I love the fact that he's created 24-carat dossons. I love the fact that he created dossons and just had a real crack and never sitting still. Attention grabber number 2, the free PR that he generated from creating the gold dossant and the dossant in itself, and just writing letters off to radio stations and TV stations. That in itself is genius. What can you do to be a little bit of innovative in your business and get some attention? You might remember the interview I did a few years ago with Arthur Greeno, who is a franchisee at Chick-fil-A in America, where he was breaking Guinness Book of Records in order to get media coverage for his franchise. Love the free PR stunt. Attention grabber number 3. I just love the fact that he's in donuts. Hey, I was quite serious about the idea that there is an absolute opportunity for someone to start a hot cinnamon donut shop. That right there, my friends, is a niche an inch wide and a mile deep. That's what grabbed my attention. What grabbed yours? Head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/441 and leave me a note. Well, we're going to leave it right there, team, as I head out into the Mumbai streets to check it all out, to eat some food. Maybe I'll find a donut or two and to see what's going on in this incredible city. Episode 441 was brought to you by the very good folks at American Express. Be sure to search Amex Business to find out how your business expenses can reward you. And I can assure you there will be some surprises in there. Great rewards if you are an Amex customer. And they've got some great small business products as well. Got some great interviews coming up, including a Thai store owner who had to make a major pivot once he realised there aren't a whole lot of people wearing ties anymore. Don't forget there's an entire back catalogue of interviews over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. If you love the Small Business Big Marketing Show, and why wouldn't you, then let another small business owner know. Or maybe let one know a day. Get their smartphones and download it for them. Show them what podcasting is all about. Until next week, I am Timbo Reid. Thanks for tuning in. May your marketing be the best marketing. Bye for now.